All right, grew up on the farm southwest of Wacomas, where I still reside today. Graduated from high school in 1967. Was very active in sports, in FFA. In 1965, I had the reserve Grand Lam at what is now the OYE, and all-state basketball player. And played 1 year at Oklahoma City University under Abe Levins, and I found out that wasn't for me, and so then I went to Oklahoma State and ended up finishing my BS and MS degree there. There's a job that came open in Enid where I'm at today. It's a little bit different then, and I had finished my coursework, hadn't done my thesis yet, so I started with the Enid Board of Trade in Enid in September of 1971, and ended up writing my thesis while I was working, and got that in my MS 1975. And then at that time, the Enid Board of Trade managed the Oklahoma Grain and Feed Association. Through the years, the need for the Enid Board of Trade went away, so the Oklahoma Grain and Feed Association purchased their assets. And then we also started managing the Oklahoma Agribusiness Retailers Association in 1989 and Oklahoma Seed Trade Association in 1981. The anti-hog deal came about, what was that, in the late 90s? And I just watched in amazement how all of a sudden the industry could just be ground to a halt by this legislation. And then in the late 2000s, early 2000s, late 90s, Hannah Roberts Ranch had an issue with the department, which I felt was very unfair to them. And at that time, John Grondike, who had a good acquaintance with the Hannah Roberts Ranch folks, suggested that they look at hiring somebody in Oklahoma, they didn't have anybody at that time, to assist them with their needs at the state legislative and regulatory level. So that was September of 2001. After the bill that really shut you all down, was a perception problem. So that took a while, I think. And I think the industry's done a great job of getting through that perception, and it's much more positive now than it was back in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Joe Neal helped us with things dealing with our legislators in our area, even our county commissioners, with our road situations. He worked with us when we would have the Grand National Quail Hunt. He would host people, helping them go out and hunt. When we would go to premium sales and things like that, he knew who we should be associated with, and so it was a very beneficial relationship from that standpoint. When you talk about the integrity that he represents our company and our industry with, that when he says something about what we do, he carries a lot of weight with whoever he says it to. And so I think that's been a very important thing for our industry and our business.
And that's when AgDents came together after what happened to the pork industry, and basically said, we're not going to let any of our folks get run over like this again. And we need to do a better job of getting agriculture across to the public. So I think the impetus was when y'all had the bad legislation. I also have a small farming operation. It used to be a little bigger when my children were around to help, but now I have about 220 acres of wheat, and I have a few ewes to raise for club lambs for kids at the show. And my hobbies are mostly outdoors. I love to hunt, love to fish, and play golf.
My daughter sold her goat in the Enid district premium sale, and several people had gone in to buy it, and we were having a little trouble identifying all the people that were in on it, and he could tell that we were searching for these people, and he said, "Who are you looking for?" And we gave him the list, and he said, "Oh, well, that guy's over there, and you need to talk to this gentleman," and was very helpful, and made an impression on my daughter that she didn't know who he was necessarily, but he was very helpful, and really it was a nice thing to do.
It's just amazing to me the pork industry thought that much about the work that I've helped with your industry that you recognize me in this manner. It's very humbling. I just really can't believe it, and I appreciate it immensely.